If you're calling this a tough market, you wouldn't be wrong. However, when you say it's a market, that suggests it's temporary. And I don't think we're experiencing a phase. I think we are rewiring the whole system. And if you don't recognize this, you're probably trying to run yesterday's business models, yesterday's tools, and that's going to have concrete consequences. That's when your best agents that are 2 years plus, that's when they leave. Your best clients, they hesitate. And your weeks get eaten by problems you created by staying vague for too long. Because this isn't just a tough market. It's a new industry. And a new industry doesn't bounce back. It reorganizes, it reprices, it resorts who stays. So the question is not, how do I survive the season? The question is, what business model are you actually running? And if you're a brokerage operator, it's the same question. What platform are you actually running? Because what used to be tolerated as good vibes and we're relational, I now see that as a liability. Let's take a quick music break. And when I get back, we're going to walk through what I think is actually happening. Welcome to Renovating Real Estate. I'm Sandy McMaster, your host, and each week here, we are renovating just along with everybody else the way real estate operators think, decide, and execute. Here, we use the identity ops method because most people never operationalize what makes them different, and we are on a mission to change all of that. Today, we're talking about what it means when it isn't a tough market. It's not just a tough market. It's a new industry. Stakes are high. The stakes are high, but they are simple. Vague gets punished and clarity becomes the premium. All right, let's start off by naming what most people are trying not to name. The industry. The industry isn't just wobbling. It's resorting. And I don't mean just prices, not just rates, not just one lawsuit or another headline. I mean, it's a structural shakeout. And when an industry shakes out, it doesn't just remove weak performers. It removes weak definitions. It takes everyone who has been living off drift and it forces a decision. And I think that's why so many people feel anxious right now. You know, despite lower transaction counts, it's having to make a call because drift used to be survivable. You could be kind of a listing agent or kind of a relational brokerage or kind of a buyer's agent, kind of a coach or mentor, all the things, just sort of kind of. You could kind of be all of those things as long as the market carried you. As long as the market is carrying everybody, that vagueness didn't show. But when volume drops and margins compress, that vagueness becomes very visible. And here's the thing. Relationships, they are evergreen. They are a bellwether of housing. So of course, relationships still matter. That's not in question here today. They matter in every single model. That is table stakes. Like, I'm assuming everybody and anybody listening to a podcast about real estate knows that. But undefined relationships don't hold under stress. Undefined relationships, that is merely activity based on likability. Texts, coffee, checking in, posting, networking, all without clear positioning, without a clear promise, without a clear system. That is not strategy. That is just motion, and just in motion is really expensive right now. So I would like to give you a clean lens to look through, not a framework recap, just a lens you can use this week. There are really 3 operating models I see people running. One is transactional. This is just volume plus speed plus systems, and it can work. It can work really, really well. You've got plenty of operators in the space absolutely running very productive businesses that way. It can scale. It can be really, really great. And it can be absolutely ruthless. Second operating system is relational, but undefined. And this is really the most common. It's like if we were talking about the economy, this would be the middle class. It's just sort of undefined. Well, what does that really even mean in 2026? And this is also the most fragile model because it's built on being likable, being available, hitting the mailbox at the right time. But it's not based on being specific. Okay? The third model, identity-based, this is where instead of counting contacts, you're making contacts count. Not by doing more, but by doing less, but much, much better. By being clearer, by having standards, judgment, by having a repeatable delivery system. Now, let me slow down and make the most important point. This is not just about agent to client. This is brokerage to agent. And I need to keep coming on this podcast because I'm wondering, oftentimes you sit here and you're talking to a mic and you do all this writing and you wonder if anyone is really even listening. But I am pro brokerage. I want them to be successful. But a lot of brokerage leaders are still talking about this moment like it's mostly a sales problem or a marketing problem or a recruiting problem. It's not from my perspective. I see this as an identity problem. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you an example. Today, we can't even agree on what defines public marketing. Can we just define that? Or we can't define the role of an MLS. I mean, I could even throw the role of what NAR's role now is. All these things have gotten fuzzy. So if a brokerage can't clearly explain what it is, what it expects, and how it actually helps an agent win, then it just becomes a place people pass through versus someone they genuinely and enthusiastically partner with. And when agent mobility is up and production is literally switching brands at scale, pass-through becomes a death sentence. And I would really like it if you guys survived. So if you're listening as an agent, here's the test. Can you say in one sentence why somebody should hire you? And can you prove it in your processes? And can you simply prove it to yourself that that is indeed the value you offer to a consumer? And if you're listening as a brokerage, the test is similar. Can you say in one sentence, what kind of operator do you help an agent become? And if I asked an agent who's been with you for, say, that 3 year mark, that 3 to 5 year mark, if I asked them if what you said is true, would they agree? That's a verification of what you're building. It's training, it's accountability, standards, support, tools, leadership. Agents don't want promises, they want proof. It's just like a consumer looking back at me and saying, prove it. Now, let's go back to the numbers for just a second. 3 years of the fewest existing home sales since the mid-90s, transactions down, turnover rates at historic lows, dual career agents becoming the primary pool of people brokerages are trying to educate. Whew. Entire adjacent industries thinning out. These things are not vibes. That's a reshaping of who can afford to participate. And when the talent pool shifts, system's going to shift. And if dual career agents are your pool, your expectations might need to shift. If that's who you're recruiting and retaining, training's going to have to look different. And this is where a lot of brokerages are going to feel, if not exposed already, they will feel very vulnerable, because in an easy market, retention is honestly accidental. But in a hard environment, retention is designed in hard environments. So what do you do with this? You can do one honest thing. Decide who you're optimizing for. Not what you say, not what you hope, but who are you actually optimizing for? What does your behavior prove that you are optimizing for? Because each model has trade-offs. There is no easy that lives in the real estate industry. Each model has a trade-off. If you're transactional, you are optimizing for throughput. Awesome. Own it. Build for it. Staff for it. Stop pretending it's something else. Say it out loud. If you're relational, define it. Relational for whom? Relational toward what outcome? I'm certain that everybody doesn't just want to be liked to death. They actually like food with their meals. Relational with what system behind it. And if you're identity-based, then your job is to build around credibility, to be the person whose presence lowers risk. Because in a new industry, that's what people are going to pay for. They pay for judgment, they pay for standards, they pay for calm, sound leadership. They pay for somebody who can say, here's what's true. Here's what we're optimizing for. Here's what we're not doing. Here's how we'll decide. So let me give you one practical practice. Oh, I'm getting all worked up over here alone in my office. One practical takeaway here this week. Write your business model in one paragraph. Not for marketing copy. Don't even try to make it slick. Not a mission statement, just a paragraph. Write a smart paragraph. Write a paragraph that is at least enough for a friend to read and then say, oh, I get it. Include who you serve, what you believe, what you deliver, what you refuse to do, what your process looks like. That might be a little more than a paragraph, but you get the idea. Specificity. And then, after you're done, ask what might be a painful question. Does your calendar match it? Does your money match it? Is what you say and what you do aligned? Because the market is resorting operators by the day, and it's doing so in a few different categories. If you want a deeper breakdown on this, it is all in the essay, but I'll land the plane like this. A tough market ends. A new industry doesn't. So don't wait to be rescued by consolidation, by a rate cut, by a headline. Whew. Renovate now, my friends. Define your model, build the system, and stop asking the market to subsidize vagueness. Because when the market stops carrying you, the only thing left is what you built on purpose. Subscribe to Substack for the full essay and the tools behind it. You can find those at identityops.co. And a rating, a review, forwarding this to a friend. It's like handing them a level before they start the remodel. Like I said, operating system is at identityops.co. Until next week, good luck.